Welcome to this week's Rob's Country. We're going to take a look at some new fishing laws as it's a long weekend and people will be taking to the seas. Also going to be visiting the apprentice school jockey, or jockey's apprentice school, I should say, really, at Riccarton. And we're also going to be talking about electronics and coverage and radios and such. But first of all, Jim, wonderful bit of weather.
Fantastic. The last fortnight, 3 weeks have been just what we require in the horticulture industry. Lovely sun, not too hot temperatures, but still nice and warm evenings. Not too much of a threat of frosts, although we have had a couple. Look, it's been really ideal. I've never seen bees, whether they be honeybees or bumblebees, work so well and hard as they are right across the spectrum of crops right at the moment, which is fantastic. I'm sure the beekeepers will be very happy.
Well, we've got one coming on at the end of the program.
Well, I'm sure he won't have anything to complain about, and the pollination, because of that, is nice and strong for the various crops.
But that would mean that there's masses of lush green growth everywhere.
Absolutely. There's a lot of virgin tissue out there, Rob, and it needs to be covered for especially diseases. And we have leaf spot at this time of the year across various crops, and powdery mildews will start to come up shortly. So growers have got to be diligent in getting their fungicides on and preventing the other disease, which costs horticulture industry in New Zealand, as it does around the world, a heck of a lot of money and loss of crop, and that's botrytis. So certain stages of flower growth, you've got to put your botryticides on. So that's really a must right at this stage. And in behind that, with nice soft tissue that you have there, there's a lot of little bugs that like getting amongst it too, such as aphids and to a lesser degree mites. So there's plenty going on out in the horticultural crops.
What are some of the things that you'd like to draw attention to?
Well, firstly, we're into the serious part of pesticide application in the crops, and safety is the number one issue. Some of the guys are probably maybe new at it. I know they'll be trained because they wouldn't be able to apply materials they're having the training, but they've got to make sure they've got the correct protective gear on, and if they're using last year's gear, they should throw it away and buy some new stuff. And also, of course, it's the responsibility of the owner or the manager of the properties to make sure that these people are, one, trained, understand what they've got to do, and continue to act upon those things. I was at a property yesterday, and a guy had all the right gear on, had trouble with the nozzle. He'd been spraying fungicides and insecticides, took his glove off, unscrewed the nozzle with a crescent, put the crescent down, put the nut down, cleaned out the nozzle, put it back. He didn't have a glove on. Now that was about the most dangerous thing you can actually do. He didn't didn't do it intentionally. He just forgot, took his glove off, and made that big mistake.
Yeah, second nature. Think I'll get
absolutely better. So the situation is, and I say to growers that when it comes to preparing chemicals to go into tanks and to wash it down your sprayers after you've done that, get into a lighter gear and get into gloves that are actually like surgical gloves. And you can actually undo those things and tidy those things up without taking your gloves off.
A lot of boys don't like those gloves, though.
No, that's right. Yeah. So, I mean, interesting, really. But timing of these fungicides is critical. And, of course, the other side of the botrytis side is that a number of these materials we use have got a long withholding period. So you've got to watch when the day you're applying them to the day you may be harvesting that crop, and you've got to check with what they call the withholding period. It's the number of days between application and harvest, and we're getting close on some of those dates. And we're talking about when we could be harvesting something around Christmas time or early in the new year. And these next few days are the last few days you're allowed to put those materials on. So there's plenty of things for the grower to think about.
Yeah, it sneaks up on you, but doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
If the crops are growing well, so are the weeds. Yeah,
well, we've got two really good weeds that we can grow particularly well in New Zealand, and one of them is called cleavers, and it's a very clever weed, and the other one is called Californian thistles, which is the good old annual bugbear. They're growing quite rapidly at the moment, and the cleavers is it's got a very hairy, sticky cuticle to it, so it's very hard to get herbicide into it. And the only real material that will penetrate it, along with some surfactant, is a product called Basagran, and it doesn't hurt the crop. So you can actually spray across the stumps of your trees or bushes or whatever it may be, vines, and not damage your crop at all, but it will get rid of the cleavers.
Is that selective?
It's very selective, and the good thing about it is that, well, there's a restriction. It's not translaminate, so therefore it's safe around that crop. But the only thing is, to get what you want to kill, you actually got to cover with the herbicide. And so you've got to make sure you get a good coverage on. Hence the the use of a high rate of surfactant, a non-ionic surfactant such as spread wet.
Can you
About
just
half a
tell us
litre
that,
hectare.
that chemical again?
It's non-ionic surfactant, it's called.
Okay, and what are you mixing it with?
It's spread and sticks. The material's Basagran, and you put that on it, 3 litres a hectare, and it's safe on the crop. So I'm sure I'll get growers ringing me and say, you're sure it's safe, but it is safe on the crop. And then the Californian thistles, well, it's a real nuisance, but the knockdown material such as, not so much glyphosate, because glyphosate can be taken up by plants, but more the busters and the ammonium glufosinate are the actual technical term. They are the materials to use, and also, once again, using a penetrant type surfactant such as Drift-X, which is an anti-drift agent at the same time. So it's doing about 3 things: it's spreading, it's penetrating, and it's anti-drift. And these materials are quite fine and micron, so they're very fluffy. You can't see them by the naked eye. They're flying around the air, so you don't want them flying around in your crop. So that's why you restrict them with your surfactants.
You talked about the bees being flat out. Are we looking at a pretty good season?
Yeah, long way before the fat lady sings, Rob. But yeah, look, I've never seen a spring like it. And I've been from the top of the South Island to the bottom of the South Island the last 3 weeks. And I've talked to my colleagues in Hawke's Bay especially, and they're saying the same thing. So, you know, touch a whole lot of wood, maybe we'll get there with a good season.
Because this is now, isn't it, when we actually find out if we are going to have a good one?
Well, when you get a strong pollination, you'll always have even fruit, and and because of the pollination being strong, with a good bee activity and warm temperatures, the bees are out at 9 o'clock in the morning and it's 18 degrees. I mean, it's fantastic. They love sun on their back. Honeybees will stay inside if it's 12 degrees. A bumblebee's like an old Bristol freighter. It'll work until dark, but and it carries a lot of pollen with it, so it does a really good job. But because we've got these warm days, it's what we call a strong pollination, which allows for a lot more seed to be grown within the fruit, whatever the fruit may be. So the more seed in the fruit, the better the quality, the better the shape, and generally the better the taste and firmness of the fruit, whatever that fruit may be. So it's a very important period of time.
Looking at a long, hot summer?
Yes, we are. So a thing I'll probably talk more about in a fortnight's time, but we've got to have our irrigation regimes right and setting them up now. And I'm sure Tony and Hydro Service will be talking to the growers about that. It's very, very important. It's going to get dry, and it's going to get dry fairly quickly.
What does that mean to things like grapes and such?
Well, actually, they'll love it. If we can manage the water to them and not have to fight water, it's a far better growing season. So in other words, we can check the deficit of the moisture, and if we're under levels, we can boost them up, keep them up at what we would call accepted levels of moisture, and therefore the growing continues on growing the way they should. But if we have cold temperatures and rain and rubbish like that, you can't control it. So those that have got irrigation have got gold, and they should manage it in the manner that's going to give them the most benefit.
Well, let's hope it's another vintage year, Jim.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you very much indeed. Still to come on the program, we're going to be talking about the South Island Farmer of the Year, communication.
For news, views and local stories, the Christchurch Star.
Action Removals, offering short or long-term storage facilities, full packing services, comprehensive rates, all fully insured and with 6 vehicle sizes to choose from. Earthquake repairs? Action Removals pack, move, store and return your valuable possessions stress-free. Action Removals, a family business that has been operating in Christchurch for over 10 years. Action Removals, your one-stop removal service on time, every time. 0800 222 526.
Airtech wastewater treatment systems are the future here now. Easy to use and efficient e-sewage plants are already where the environmentalists are heading. You can relax as new rules come into place. A series of chambers does the work while you reap the benefits. Easy to landscape, they're ideal for new homes or as a replacement for an old septic tank. Airtech wastewater treatment system, your advantage when dealing with grey or black water. See the RX Plastics website for details or contact RX Environmental.
My son's helped me greatly with my independence now that I've got more mobility.
Mum, I've been looking into stand assist chairs from More Mobility. They recline back with a footrest, then when you want to get out of them, they stand you up. You can even sleep on them. More Mobility can bring one out for a free trial. There's even electric beds too. What do you think? For more range and more expert advice, see More Mobility, corner Clarence and Princess Streets off Blenheim Road.
What a difference more mobility makes.
Irrigation is the future for farming in New Zealand, but like any technology, you can't be expected to get the most out of it on your own. Hydro Services is the key to maximising your results. On-farm irrigation management, minimising drainage losses, minimising power usage and maximising efficiency. Soil moisture solutions, soil water holding capacity assessments, resource consent applications and on-farm workshops, all there in the one place. Hydro Services, your one-stop for irrigation management and soil moisture measurement solutions.
Welcome back to Rob's Country with South Island Farmer of the Year looming large. Judging, you're in charge of all the judges. This must be one hell of a thing to have to do.
Well, it's a very privileged position to be in. I don't actually get onto the farms, but I'm responsible for the coordinating of all the judging process and pulling together each year the regional judges for the first round of judging right throughout the South Island, Rob, and then once we have our 4 finalists selected, we have 3 very capable judges who go around the 4 finalists and do some lovely travelling and get to see some fabulous farming stories.
But they must be very focused because, I mean, that's to try to find 4 finalists out of all those entries and say, right, sorry, but that's the 4.
It's a really, really difficult position to be in, but we have a really rigorous judging criteria and process that we follow, and all the regional judges come together and they don't leave that room until we've got 4 finalists, pretty much.
The old smoke-filled room,
Yeah.
hypothetically now, I might add. So
Exactly.
what are some of the criteria?
So we have 8 focuses, and everybody is very clear about those. So goal setting is a big thing with farming businesses these days, so that's one of our criteria. Production and technology, and one of our merit awards is on technology as well. Industry relationships, organisation and management, and that includes HR management. Innovation, which is one of our key features of the South Island Farmer of the Year, and our real focus is on excellence and innovation. And we've got some pretty innovative farmers out there, really willing and able to step up to the plate and look for new things to develop and find their point of difference in our industry, which is really exciting. Compliance and environment, marketing, plate to pasture, and finance, of course, because if we haven't got the balance of the books right, then there's no way we're going to be able to be sustainable or profitable. So,
It's interesting that HR keeps coming in as in human resources. It's becoming very common now in farming where it wasn't before.
No, the structure of farming has probably changed mainly through dairying. We have lots of farms that are at least 3 or 4 people to a farm. It's not just mum and dad and the kids working on a dairy farm anymore. And it's absolutely imperative, even within a smaller sheep and beef operation, that we get the right people on board. Our owners are supportive of the staff, and I think there's some real opportunities to build capability within the industry and get young people involved in farming, and with the right mentoring and with the right support, you get them moving on into management and hopefully also farm ownership.
It's a big skill to try to mentor and to encourage and get people enthusiastic though, isn't it?
It is, and it takes a lot of time and commitment from farm owners, and that's not just within the dairy sector. I'm thinking, broad spectrum, but it's also really important that we get the compliance right. That we're doing really good farm employment contracts and meeting industry standards, and yeah.
Dairying, I think, is very lucky because you invariably have one of the partners who does a lot of paperwork and does the compliance.
It's better with a partnership.
Exactly, and then you've got the other partner who can lead from the front as far as what happens in the paddock. I mean, that's invaluable, isn't it?
Absolutely, and that's where it's really exciting. When we come to finals day on the 19th of November at Lincoln University, the 4 finalists have to do a presentation about their farm business, and we encourage both husband and wife to stand up and be part of that presentation, and this is where we see some of the women actually coming to the fore, and they are a very, very important part of the whole farming operation these days.
Indeed. The 4 finalists, it's interesting because you've had corporates win before, but this year it's very family orientated.
Yeah, our structure this year, the 4 finalists, there's a real theme of strong family ownership models. So we've got 2 families from Southland, one sheep and beef and one that is into dairying, and they have 2 dairy farms side by side. One's conventional dairying, the other is organic, and they are producing products that they market direct from their farm. So that's really exciting. So they're the Southland finalists, and then the North Canterbury ones, we've got a pig farmer and traditional sheep and deer farm in North Canterbury. So we've got a lovely spread there, and we're really excited about finals day.
That's, to me, quite encouraging because there's so much of a spotlight on dairying. And for sheep and beef to be right up there and innovative, it's going to be interesting because people will be able to say that's the benchmark.
Definitely, yeah. And I think the public who come along on that day will be in a really exciting position to have a learning opportunity, hear some wonderful stories, and hopefully go away with a take-home message about something new that they can take home and try on their own farms. That's our objective. We want to get as many people along on the 19th of November as we can. At Lincoln.
And that's, so people can register somewhere, or do
they can just go on to lincolnuniversityfoundation.org.nz.
Yep, or Google Lincoln University Foundation. Yes.
And tickets are available online to purchase, but it's free for the finals afternoon. Just come along to the lecture theatre at Lincoln University and
I've been to
and
a
hear
few.
them.
They are very, very worthwhile.
They are, and we never quite get the lecture theatre full, and it would be wonderful.
This will be the year.
Yeah, I hope so. That's our objective.
Standing room only.
Yeah, it's free to the public.
19th of November.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Long weekend this weekend, and there'll be a raft of boats heading off out fishing. So I caught up with Peter Hyde about some of the new rules and regulations.
Yeah, so I guess it's time to think about recreational fishing. It's October and Labour weekend, seems a lot of people go out. Canterbury, we haven't had that many changes. There's a new marine reserve in Akaroa Harbour, which Department of Conservation administers. So that's on the northern side of the harbour out towards the heads. So that's a total no fishing zone. But there has been a lot of major changes in Kaikoura, and people really need to go onto the ministry website or get a Kaikoura specific brochure and just get your head around the new rules. For example, with fish, there's a reduced bag limit on blue cod, so the recreational limit for blue cod in Kaikoura area is 6, and the size limit's changed. It's 33 centimetres in Kaikoura, which is a bit bigger than the 30 centimetres we have in Canterbury. There's a limit now on sea perch. Sometimes people in the Kaikoura area went a bit silly on sea perch because we didn't have a bag limit at all on sea perch, but now we do. So there's a bag limit of 20 for sea perch and a size limit of 26 centimetres. Shellfish, yes, there's reductions in most of the bag limits for shellfish in Kaikoura area. Paua has gone down to 6. The size limit remains the same. Something like kina, the limit is 50. And when I say Kaikoura, what I mean is the Kaikoura is defined as the area between the Clarence Point near the Clarence River in the north down to the Conway River in the south. So that's the Kaikoura area that has its own specific recreational bag limits that are quite reduced from what we have here in Canterbury.
The obvious question is, how do people check?
There's various means you can do it. Probably the best is to go onto the ministry website. All the limits are there. You can access a website through QR codes that we have around the place that will take you straight to the website. We have brochures available, so you can call into a ministry office or phone up and we'll post you out one. Most of the hunting and fishing shops should carry a supply of them, and we'll make sure we get a supply out just before Christmas. And signage, so around most of your major boat ramps there should be signage that you can also check to see where to see your bag limits. Also in that Kaikoura area there's a new marine reserve in the area near Barney's Rock, or just to the south side of the tunnel, so that will be a total no fish zone in there as well. There'll be signage there which will show you where that no fish area is.
So, bottom line is that ignorance is no excuse.
No, these days ignorance is no excuse. There's various means you can obtain information if you want. And I know, summertime, particularly before Christmas, people get flat out, and they may miss checking the rules before they go on holiday. So October, this is a good time to just sort of refresh your memory on what the rules are, and even if you ring up an MPI office, fisher officers are more than happy to explain the rules to you.
It's interesting looking at that power sign. It says only those persons physically taking are entitled to claim a catch. In other words, you can't put 5 people on top of the boat and say, well, we've got 5 each.
No. As with all our recreational limits, it's what we call the primary taker rule. You have to take yourself to be able to claim a limit. It's not good enough just to sit on a rock and watch your partner dive away for power and then say, oh, well, I'll take 10. It's only the taker who goes down and physically grabs the fish is entitled to a daily limit. Potting, it's a wee bit tricky, so if you want to claim a daily limit in a crayfish potting exercise, then you need to be physically involved in handling the pot, helping measure the catch, chuck back the undersize, the excess, etc. Be actively involved to be able to claim your daily limit.
The important take-home message is ignorance is no excuse, so ring, check, go on the website or whatever you need to do. After the break, we're going to be talking communication. Mainland Minerals have been giving farmers the edge since the 1950s. Sophisticated and very accurate soil tests and a vast knowledge of what the soil needs means those using Mainland Minerals get their costs extremely low while getting the very best results from their fertiliser. Fertiliser application is a science. Get it wrong and you pay. Get it right and it'll pay you dividends. Mainland Minerals, proven over 60 years and one of the best kept secrets in farming. Contact the award-winning guys and turn your property around.
Potholes. To some, a simple hole in the ground, causing no harm and no concern. But don't let that fool you. Potholes are dangerous. Did you know potholes have been linked to numerous nasty falls and flat tires? So if you have a pothole situation on your property, don't panic. Call the Pothole Repair Company. They'll fix your potholes in a jiffy. So next time you see a pothole on your driveway or in your car park, call the Pothole Repair Company.
Are you having trouble with your old mower or just have too much grass? At Mead Mowers and Chainsaws, with our wide range of Husqvarna mowers, no job is too big or too small. We stock rotary, ride-on, zero-turn, out-front articulated riders, and robotic order mowers. We have the Husqvarna mower for you. Call in and visit Gavin or Peter at Mead Mowers and Chainsaws.
Espresso Car Wash. Bring back the shine with options from an express wash for just $28 up to a fully detailed interior and exterior grooming package from just $63. We also offer services such as interior shampoo, wax and polish, aircon treatment, odor eliminator, vehicle destickering, the list goes on. And don't forget our gift vouchers, no matter what the occasion. Espresso Car Wash at 5 great Christchurch locations: Corner Lincoln Road and Morehouse Ave, The Palms, Northlands, Ferrymead and the Hub Hornby. Welcome to Caltex Redwood. We're a family-owned business proudly supporting our local community. We're open 24/7 for fuel and shop goods, and we have an amazing team of people ready to help you. Save at least 6 cents per litre using AA Smart Fuel cards. We also offer great value on our LPG bottle fills. We have a full workshop and Bridgestone Tyre Centre. Our mechanics and tyre technicians will get your car sorted. Caltex Redwood. We're just down from St Bede's on Main North Road. Caltex Redwood. What drives you?
Avoid the monkeys when it comes to relocating. Trust A1 Movers, a family business since 1993 that guarantees a professional job every time. We carefully handle and wrap your valued items, ensuring they have a safe journey. Secure storage and insurance options are also available.
A1 Movers, the careful, caring moving company. Oi!
Welcome back to Rob's Country. Communication, absolutely vital, and without putting too fine a point on it, you guys have got all sorts of new thoughts and ideas.
Yes, we have, Rob. We've invested a considerable amount of money and time into developing the world's best digital radio system in Canterbury, and we've got a number of farmers who've enjoying that facility right now. So, yeah, and it's a state-of-the-art system. Affords all sorts of features and benefits that you cannot get on a traditional radio system or even on a cellular network.
It's interesting that you're pushing radio as brilliant when a lot of people would think, it's old hat because we use cell phones now.
Yeah, that's true. And look, there is a place for cellular. There's no doubt about that. But the raw guts of it is, on a farm or in a heavy industry, cell phones don't cut the cheese when it comes to the ruggedness, the ability to withstand the day-to-day rigours of farming, being submerged in water and dropped off bikes or trucks and so on. And there's a lot of other features now that on digital radio that you never thought possible before. You know, texting between radios, having facilities to monitor the employee on the farm, full colour screens. The audio quality is significantly better than a cellular phone, and the battery life, we're talking about a 40% increase in battery life, which is far superior to the old radio system and much superior to cellular. So you're getting a good day's work, I'm trying to say, out of a radio.
And you don't have to let go of the handlebars of your motorbike to dial anything.
Exactly, and that old problem with cellular is getting the message, you know, the answer, the secretary, and that's not efficiency. And we're all about efficiency at Te Ao Pāka. We know that time is money, and on the farm particularly, you don't want to be trying to get hold of you guys on a cell phone. You want to be able to push a button and say, hey, look, I need this question answered, or where are you, or, you know, I need some help.
And you don't have to not hear it ring. You can't say, oh, sorry, boss, I didn't hear it ring.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you know, whether you're in the milking shed or out feeding out or so on, the radio's got fantastic audio quality. It's state-of-the-art. Motorola excel in that particular field. So, you know, you've got a radio that has the ability to dismiss all background noise. So all it's listening for is the human voice. So if you're standing next to a tractor that's revving full revs, or an angle grinder, or whatever in the milking shed, the radio will only listen for the human voice, and you're getting amazing audio quality.
How clever is that?
Oh, it's incredible, it really is. And as I said, Motorola rule the roost worldwide in that particular area, among others, but that's something that we find, particularly in mining industry, logging industry, where, you know, noise is very prevalent. Factory, McCain's in Timaru, for example, they have very high noise. So their choice of radio was Motorola because they wanted that noise suppression, that background noise suppression.
What's the graph that you want to show us?
Okay, so the graph we're just about to show or showing is our coverage of our digital radio network. Now, we have the ability to put farmers within that area on our new 800 megahertz digital system. And look, you know, all the farmers have to do is to give us a call, and we can come out to the farm no matter where, and we do this quite a lot, and show them how good this digital system is. It's incredible quality, incredible features, because a lot of farmers now are not just staying on the farm, they go into town, they have multiple farms, and these...
multiple farms is a big one.
Correct.
Difference between the blue, sorry, with the green and the yellow?
Okay, so we've broken into two particular areas: the portable, the handheld coverage, and the mobile coverage. Mobile coverage tends to be a little bit better, but this is a living map, so we're growing this coverage all the time. We've just deployed a new repeater at Gawler Downs in behind Ashburton there, and we're getting phenomenal coverage down south, even towards Timaru. So it's really a case of getting on the farm, showing the radio and talking about it, and giving them an actual listen to see how good it is.
So you've broken away from doctors now, you're doing house calls?
Yeah, we do. We're very happy to come out and do a free test on farm, and we've got at the moment we've got a phenomenal deal with Motorola. Motorola have kicked in with a help the farmer deal basically, and we're also involved with this heavily Te Ao Pāka. So we've got a very, very good offer, over $300, up to $370 off a radio, off a handset, that we can offer right now. So all the farmers have to do, anyone in the agricultural industry, just give us a call, and we're more than happy to come out, have a no obligation discussion, and show you just how well this works.
People are reaching for their pens. Was your phone numbers at the end of the program, Dave?
Yes, we'll call that 0800 number. That's 0800 85 7478. And look, talk to us about your farm. And as I say, we'll come out, we'll spend a day or half a day, whatever we need to do, and maybe even leave you some radios just to try out on the farm. So,
hills? Topography, is that a problem?
Yeah, it can be, and this is where we sometimes we have to look at other aspects, and down the track in the next programs we'd like to start talking about on-farm repeaters. So generally speaking, the 800 meg or the digital network is very good. We've got fantastic coverage, but of course there are little challenges, and we can fix those. We can fix all of those challenges.
Put away where the trig station is, you put away aerial up.
Yeah, exactly. Or I just stand up there and hold the aerial. But no, all of those issues can be resolved very quickly. So
you said the $300 off if they ring and talk about it now. Are they expensive? I mean, to take $300 off, that's pretty special.
No, the radios are very similar to cellular in price, but of course now we've got a very good deal on, and it closes off on 1st of December for their farming friends and agricultural contractors and so on. The radio pricing is very competitive and very comparative, but you've got to remember too that the radio is designed to withstand that. Those riggers I said earlier. So you're not going to be replacing the handhelds. They are, and we've had many of them dropped in rivers and irrigation ponds and you name it.
And they're going to sit in the dashboard and get about 27 degrees Celsius.
Exactly, yeah. Well, the other thing too, the important thing is these radios are military specifications. So they're designed to handle the military protocols, and of course they have IP ratings, so waterproof, shock resistance, dust proof, and of course that drop test 8 feet onto a concrete or 6 feet on a concrete floor, no problems at all.
But without being disrespectful, you're going to be giving them to people who don't own them.
Correct. It's always a problem, It's it's a very important work tool for farming, and we realise that some people aren't as conscious of the cost and so on. But these things, believe you me, they can hack the pace. We've seen them in mining, coal, gold, logging, and they get a hard time.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough too. Yeah. So give you a ring and go from there.
Absolutely, please do. Give us a ring and we'll have a chat to you, and if we need to, we'll certainly come out free on-farm tests.
Cool, go better than that, Dave. Thank you very much
You're
indeed.
welcome.
Well, speaking of farming, all around the country, I caught up with one of the guys from the Māori ag business, and it seems as though business is good.
Well, I'm a farmer by background, so I milk 500 cows in the Waikato in partnership with my brother, and then we lease in partnership another sheep beef station up in the Eastern Bay of Plenty with 12,000 stock units, and then I chair a number of family trust farms. Probably in total we milk about 5,000 cows and run about 60,000 stock units.
Tell me a wee bit about these trusts, because we keep hearing about them and nobody really knows too much about them.
Yeah, I guess by background it was during the period of land alienation up into the early 1900s, and so the residual Māori-owned land that was retained was allocated out to obviously to certain owners depending on the region or the district, and so they had development programs that were run on them. I think the first Māori development programs that were introduced by Sapi Ranangata back in the 1930s, and so he ran a number of Māori land development programs across mainly the North Island. And so it kind of stems from there. That's kind of the early stage. And then New Zealand's oldest agricultural farming competition is actually the Ahuwhenua Trophy, which is now coming up to near 80 years old. So it's the oldest competition still in operation at the moment. It's a very, very popular competition. It's kind of the pinnacle on the Māori agribusiness calendar each year.
Because you guys, with all due respect, your trusts and your Māori lands are really a key part of agriculture in New Zealand.
Well, I guess they, unlike kind of owner-operator type farms, they've got scale, and so but they're not contiguous. They're not homogenous either, and so they're quite influential within certain communities in terms of output.
I found you at Lincoln University. You'll be here for a reason. You're not just sightseeing.
Yes. No, I mean Lincoln University is 136 years old, and it's been as much a part of agriculture as folk that are out working the land at the moment. So certainly, I think for Māori agribusiness, they see the likes of Lincoln University, Massey University playing a very vital role in terms of building capability to operate multi-million dollar businesses going forward, and that balance sheet is only going to increase over time, and significantly so. And so Māori investors in cornerstone long-term investment horizons, not like most investment companies with 5-year horizons. These are intergenerational investment philosophies, and so they're enshrined and within the whole psyche of the Māori agribusiness arena that's handed on to future generations. So the footprint will increase over time, without doubt. Having said that, they've got to perform in order to be able to do that. So they're constantly driving profitability, so that there can be reinvestment back into the industry. But more importantly, as well as investment in people. So the university plays a key role in that regard.
Is it fair to compare you to a corporate situation?
Yes, very much so. I think that it's probably Māori farming is probably the genesis of corporate farming. To be fair, they've always operated with boards, governance boards, and then some engaging highly capable people to manage those operations on the ground. And as I mentioned earlier, they're quite large. So they need capable teams, if you like, managing these businesses, and the portfolios are becoming more and more diverse.
And you've got a lot of young people, Roger, coming through who want to come to Lincoln, get qualified, and to run the businesses.
Yeah, I mean it's always a bit of a challenge. I think it's a challenge for the agricultural industry generally to have to get young people excited about building a career within agribusiness. There's always been the perception that if you seek out a career in agriculture, you'll be stuck behind the farm gate, and so that needs to be demystified in some way. And so the whole of the industry and the country at large have a role to play in that regard, and Māori are no different. So there is a small percentage, thinning end of the wedge, that would like to see themselves developing a career in agribusiness right across the value chain. And so it is about kind of encouraging people to look beyond the farm gate. Fantastic opportunities inside the farm gate for those that wish to become farmers or highly capable managers of operations, but then there are also opportunities outside the farm gate all the way to the customer as well, and I think that's the area that is probably unknown to most young people.
Is it becoming sexy? You know what I mean by that?
Yeah, I think it's still got some work to do, and the young people will be the judge of that. And so I think that's probably the aim that the industry has, and within Maridom they also have similar aspirations to make the industry sexier than it currently is perceived, and so but that's going to be an ongoing challenge, and one that one institution, organisation or sector of the agricultural industry can't do on their own.
Which is why we've got several of them, including Aoraki and Primary ITO and Lincoln, all doing a magnificent job. After the break, we're going to stay with that sort of theme when we look at the Apprentice Jockey School here in Riccarton.
Come on down to Ferrymead Golf. Care for a game of paintball? How about some swings on the old driving range? Or on our par 3 9-hole golf course? Test your skills on the mini golf course or have a go at the air gun shooting range. Then relax at the Wow Cafe with one of our super succulent Wow Burgers. Whether you want to perfect your swing or are looking for a fun family day out, come down to Ferrymead Golf, 50 Ferrymead Park Drive, right next to the Ferrymead Heritage Park.
Hi, I'm Caitlin, the naturopath here at Staywell Pharmacy. Working with the pharmacist, I use herbal and nutritional medicine to recommend natural alternatives for your health. This can be to counteract any side effects of your medication, general health advice, or natural options for you and your family. I'm also available for consultations. So come in and see us at Staywell Pharmacy, 27 Shands Road, Hornby. Staywell Pharmacy, live well, stay well.
Our new companion package is a personalised service for those that need extra help and support. A cost-effective solution for someone who needs more than just a taxi driver. Our drivers are hand-picked from our experienced team and specialise in providing the right support and companionship. Home safe every time with Blue Star Taxis. For news, views and local stories, the Christchurch Star.
Just 7 minutes north of Christchurch, Silverstream is a unique residential community carefully planned and developed within a rich natural environment. A family home or terraced villas, Silverstream offers a wide range of living options for every stage of life. The show homes are open. You can select your section, design your home and choose your builder. Purchase the house and land package or the terraced villa for streamside living. Silverstream, a community for everyone. It's closer than you think.
Welcome back to Rob's Country. Well, obviously Carnival Week is looming very large and a lot of people will be going to Riccarton Racecourse to watch the 3 days of exhilarating racing, but those jockeys just didn't step up and take it on without a lot of training. I found out the history about the Apprentice Jockey School.
Yes, it's been around for the 60s. Obviously, it's a New Zealand-wide apprentice school. This is the Canterbury school, but apprentice school has been going in New Zealand since the 60s, so coming on to 50 years.
And Willie, as far as qualifications are concerned, this is something that you need to have.
Yes, to become a senior jockey, they need to complete their Level 4 national certificate. So, yes, they need to, before they can become a senior jockey, they need to have completed it.
Now, all these apprentices are apprenticed to a trainer, Natalie?
Absolutely, and that's part of their apprenticeship. They need to be apprenticed to a trainer, and so the trainer looks after them in their day-to-day role, and they come here and learn a few other techniques and more information.
So how long is the course?
Well, they're 36 months basically, but they're apprenticed for 4 years. The term of their apprenticeship is 4 years. The qualification is supposed to last 3 years. So once they've completed it, they can still continue to come and learn any sort of general outside things that they wouldn't possibly know of, Yeah.
The interesting thing to me is that these apprentices, and I've seen some of them around the track for the last 2 or 3 years, are still using a mechanical horse.
Absolutely. The mechanical horse gets used every session here at Apprentice School, but also these guys come and use it during the week on their own accord. They'll bring a trainer, the riding master, somebody along with them, a senior jockey, and they practice. And this is where they can learn their techniques, they can practice their whipping style, and just being able to practice without actually being on a real horse is...
Tuition, very, very important, because I guess trainers have all got their own style and probably some habits.
Yes. So, I mean, as you know, most trainers are quite willing to help their apprentices, but some are better than others, and so hopefully when they come here, they can just, if there's any gaps missed, they can sort of, get a help.
Natalie, what sort of things? I mean, you've got paper and pens out. What sort of things are they looking at?
At the moment, they're actually, we've just been covering sports psychology, which is fairly important in their roles. Obviously, nutrition and fitness is another big topic that we cover, but also the rules of racing, we cover judicial, and then veterinary knowledge with the horse, conformation, anything that they encounter in their day-to-day lives as a jockey. So we try and cover all of them at a theoretical level.
And once they've come through and during their apprenticeship, is there any sort of help as far as getting jobs?
During their apprenticeship? Well, during their apprenticeship, they already have they're employed already by their trainer. From time to time, they may go on transfer or on loan to another trainer. So with NZTR, we help facilitate that. Afterwards, when they finish their apprenticeship, a lot go out on their own and some stay with a trainer. Yeah, like to extend their apprenticeship sometimes.
As far as getting rides, I mean, marketing and hustling must be part of the whole thing as well.
Absolutely. Obviously, their trainers help them out a lot while they're apprentice jockeys, but these guys get on the phone and they're hustling for rides all the time.
It's just a tough old world, isn't it? Because you've got to watch your weight, you've got to watch everything, and as you said, psychology and the whole thing, and then you're constantly hustling.
These guys are professionals, and they've got to be professionals because it's a 24/7 job. It's not something that they can just decide tomorrow that they're riding at the races at a certain weight. They've got to plan for that and plan their eating, their fitness, and do their form for the race. So it's a big job for them.
What about numbers? I mean, are you getting people coming through?
No, it's probably numbers-wise is declining. Local kids coming through. There's a lot of overseas. We're having a lot of overseas riders now come over to fill the gaps a bit. Unfortunately, a lot of kids aren't naturally light enough nowadays.
Too many McDonald's.
Unfortunately, yeah.
So even though most of these apprentices spend 5 or 6 days on the back of a horse starting at 4:30 in the morning or whatever, and God, they still are turning up and doing the class work and getting on the mechanical horse.
Yes, they are. It's part of their apprenticeship, and as we alluded to earlier, it's been a part of the culture for 50 odd years. So it's what they do. It's part of their schooling and the whole package. So the horse is one part of it, teaching them in the class is another part of it, and working obviously is a big part of it.
And you said they come in voluntarily on their own when you're not here?
Absolutely, they do. They get the key from the office, and many of them are in here a couple of times a week. They'll bring, as I said, they'll bring their employer with them or a senior jockey, and they'll come and ride the horse in their own time. So, yeah.
Which, of course, is why we've got so many top jockeys coming out of New Zealand. After the break, we're talking bees.
Orion is here to help when planting and maintaining trees around its network. As an owner, it's your responsibility to keep your trees away from power lines to reduce the risk of harm and power cuts. There are a variety of trees and shrubs suitable for planting near power lines. By choosing a tree that won't impact power lines, you will be protecting your local community's health and well-being. Please contact us for more information and let's work together to keep you connected.
We all know the best thing you can do for your body is eat fresh foods in their natural state. The same applies to your skincare. Southern Skin provides a skincare range with fresh, locally sourced ingredients, plus natural preservatives and emulsifiers to produce the best nourishment for your skin to unleash your healthiest complexion. New Zealand olive and aloe skincare for young or old, men, women and children. There is a product in the Southern Skin range for you. southernskin.co.nz.
The world really is your oyster with Farm to Farm tours. Discover some of the world's best farming, scenery and cultural experiences. We work closely with trusted international colleagues in more than 30 countries to customise great trips for people just like you. For a hassle-free trip, call the friendly team at Farm to Farm Tours now or visit our website.
Years ago, Mum and Dad's home was built by Fowlers. I remember how proud the builder was. Now, years later, Fowlers are building my own home. And our builder has that same pride in everything he does. Because at Fowlers, their people make the difference. Generation after generation.
Your style of living, your style of builder. Fowler Homes.
Blackwells has a proud history presenting leading vehicle brands, extensive backup and service for a total one-stop driving experience. Holden, Mazda and HSV new and used vehicle sales, servicing, parts, paint and panel, Isuzu truck sales and service, all together in one convenient location. More selection, more value, more quality and more reasons to make Blackwells your number one choice. Visit Blackwells today, corner Waterloo Racecourse Road, Sockburn or online at blackwells.co.nz.
Action Removals, offering short or long-term storage facilities, full packing services, comprehensive rates, all fully insured and with 6 vehicle sizes to choose from. Earthquake repairs? Action Removals pack, move, store and return your valuable possessions stress-free. Action Removals, a family business that has been operating in Christchurch for over 10 years. Action Removals, your one-stop removal service on time, every time. 0800 222 526.
Welcome back to Rob's Country. The Border Patrols working.
Yes, they sure are, Rob. The other day, last Friday, I think it was, there was a couple from Ukraine that were coming to New Zealand to work for a beekeeping operation in the lower North Island, sorry. And they had brought in honey and pollen with them, and they hadn't declared it on their incoming departure card, and they were declared themselves as working as apiarists, and so they were subsequently searched and they found the undeclared products. So duly they were sent back home, basically, which is good to see that MPI are doing their job at the border, because if that, especially the pollen or the honey, had got into New Zealand and been eaten by the bees here, it could have huge impacts on our industry. You've only got to look at the PSA and the kiwi fruit. I mean, that was brought in by pollen that was imported, so yeah, it has huge implications.
I mean, you're already battling not acre, that's the other one, isn't it?
Varroa.
Varroa, thank you. I knew I got that wrong.
Yeah, definitely. And that was brought into New Zealand, or came to New Zealand in 2000, and also with another subsequent diseases that we've found as well. So that's it's one of those, Varroa is one of those things that is manageable, but it's just an extra cost to your business. But I mean, they're finding overseas with Varroa controls that you get to immunity to the chemicals that you're using and stuff like that, which is, and then you've got to find alternative treatments to do, which brings extra stress onto your
Yeah,
business.
I hope that the industry is working on it. I mean, not at your level, but at some scientific level.
Yeah, there's a lot of research going on, and especially in America and places like that have had CCD, and they've put that down to the for having Varroa for such a long time. They think that's one of the factors of getting CCD. But
what's CCD?
Colony collapse disorder. It's where basically the bees, from what research I've read and stuff like that, it's basically the miticide chemicals that you use for treating Varroa. If they get to a too high a level in the wax in the frames in the hive, it's basically just emitting them a low dosage, and they tend to, the bees just gets to a certain level and they think, we don't like this anymore, and they just basically fly away from the hive. So there's other places in the world that seem to, what we've been told is you need to rotate your frames in your hive a lot more regularly than we probably are used to. There's a lot of guys in New Zealand that are starting to do that, and we're trying to start to do that in our business as well, because they think that fresh wax in your hive is and it doesn't have those build up of residues, and that wax is more beneficial to the bees.
Yeah, it's sort of like a fallowing of a field, isn't it, really?
Yeah, yes, absolutely, yeah. So hopefully it'll work out well.
Tell me about the bee losses, and was it Manawatu?
Yeah, and the Wairarapa, I've heard that they've had quite a few bee hive losses there over the winter, and we've heard some cases up to 50% of losses, that's quite severe. I know at our last beekeepers meeting we had a bit of a discussion about it, and we sort of put it down to, from our knowledge, that there's a lot of hives in the North Island now chasing the Manuka bandwagon, so to speak, and there's those hives in the basically the off season through the autumn and winter time that a lot of people are probably concentrating them in what they think is good pollen areas for the autumn and winter time. But I think what's happening is they're overpopulating the area. I've heard of, especially in the Manuka, that the people beekeepers are actually paying to pay for bees on farmland to winter over the winter time that have got good pollen sources. So that's pretty unheard of till now. So
do some homework on that one.
Yes, absolutely.
You do.
Yeah.
Asian honeybees.
Yes, I just had an email come through the other day, and just reading up on the Asian honeybees in Australia that first came into Cairns was the first place they'd found them. They've done a bit of research now, and they're finding that they're mating. The Asian honeybees are mating with the Italian honeybees, or the honeybees that we have here, and they're getting a crossbreed, which is not basically viable for the Italian bees. So when those queens, if they cross-mate and you get that crossbreed queen, what's happening is it'll lay eggs, but they're basically infertile, so they won't hatch. So basically, if it continues down that track, then they're going to be in big trouble and have less hives for their pollination and stuff like that.
Oh, it's totally complicated, isn't it?
It is,
how do you stop them meeting? Cancel the dances.
Yes, I don't know how they stop it, because I know when the Asian honeybees first came into Cairns, they tried very rigorously to eradicate them, and it wasn't successful. And this is the outcome that they've come to. So I don't know where they go from here.
Well, perhaps you have to kill everything off and start again.
Yeah, that could be an option.
Ooh, what a fairly serious one.
It is indeed, yeah.
None of them here yet?
No, definitely not. So, which is good, and we don't really want them here.
No, good on MPI. Let them hold everybody out, Barry. Thank you very much indeed. Federated Farmer's phone number, which is how you get hold of him, and other phone numbers on your screen now. I'm Rob Cope-Williams. You've either been watching or you have just missed Rob's Country, but I will be back at the same time next week. Until then, bye now.